Okay. All right. You see online these investor nights, these investor invites to come out, and you think to yourself, is this a good investment of my time? Is this smart? We're going to teach you how to sort of keep an eye out for the great events and the not so great events when it comes to investor nights with property, with real estate. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Everyone wants your money.
The highly anticipated investor nights. They're selling out all the time, particularly the Novak.
Everyone wants your money. Zach from Shore Financial, how are you, legend?
I'm beautiful this morning, thank you. Staying warm, as I hope you guys are too.
Yeah, I missed the start of winter.
Oh, you were up in Queensland, weren't you?
No, it was the 2 days. I just literally yesterday I was talking with Lisa about it. It started on the 1st, so I feel like I didn't celebrate the first day of the first winter.
Maybe we can have that celebration at the mega investor night, the third one that Shore's been a part of with you guys.
Tell me, who turns up to these investor nights from your experience, and what do they get out of these investor nights? Like, why would people come to this?
I think for first-time investors and savvy investors who know that it's a lot easier to come to these nights rather than doing the research themselves. It is part of the process, part of the research, call it that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I also think people that love to meet new contacts. I actually found my accountant at an investor night.
Yeah, that and people who like the company of the Novaks and a good feed.
Bit of hospitality.
Bit of
hospitality. But I do have to say, I find when I'm researching something that I love, I can surround myself searching information, and I can spend days, weeks, and months researching something. And when I finally get to the pointy end of actually walking into the shop and talking to someone who knows what they're doing, I use the example of a barbecue when we're off air. I think to myself, why didn't I just walk into the barbecue expert right at the beginning, and I would have saved all that valuable time of mine in researching. I think it's powerful, these investor nights, because you really get to talk to the sharp people in the business.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think some people get what's known as analysis paralysis. You do all the research, you open yourself up to all the information, and because you end up knowing so much, you consider it all and you end up stuck without being able to make the decision. So I guess what we've got in store is some case study analysis to give some real insight to some actual scenarios of what people are doing with their money and investing in property and other asset classes.
It's so true. You know what? I do have to say, guys and girls, if you're going to any form of investor night, what I want you to find out is the intent, the intention, and the credibility of the people that you're actually going to see the investor night on. I remember in the olden days, 20, 30 years ago, people were getting flown to Queensland on these investor nights, free flights, free accommodation, free dinner, and they got rammed and jammed a property down their throat that they ended up didn't wanting in the end. So I think when you're going to these investor nights, have a good long hard think about the credibility of the companies that you're dealing with and the intention, if you can read between the lines of what they're trying to do, because sometimes it's the cold hard sell, sometimes it's just awesome good quality information that'll facilitate and help you.
And local surely
20 years of capital growth and a free dinner doesn't sound too bad.
What's 20 years of capital growth?
Whatever property night that you said you went to with the spruikers where you got rammed a dinner down your throat. So it couldn't have been that bad 20 years ago.
Oh, it is if you bought a property that didn't go up in value for 10 or 20 years.
That's an issue.
You know, there was the performance of some suburbs, you know, around Australia hasn't because I think people in Sydney just assume that um, all other areas of the world and the country perform like Sydney property prices. But Sydney property prices are really the gold standard, and you know when they're taken out of out of the area and they see something for a third of the price, they just assume, well, you know, it's yeah, I know it's not going to do as well, but
I think that's an important point because there have been capital cities and suburbs that have outperformed in the last few years that have now cooled off, and there's probably a few cases of that going around where growth hasn't been sustained as was originally promoted in the door for some of these people. So I think that's still happening. But this night's about good, honest advice on what's possible.
so it's free.
Correct.
And when are we running this wonderful event? When are we running the Smart Investor event?
12th of June, I believe.
12th
And
of
it's at-
June, 6:30, Novak HQ. There's the address at the bottom.
Sick.
Screenshot that.
How does one book in?
We've got a link to leave in the comment section on this live stream.
Easy.
Yeah.
Even if you DM us. How long does it go for? Is the tricky one.
As long as the host is willing to facilitate. I think that one's back at you boys.
Do you know what? I love short. I think for these events, there's nothing worse than being strapped into your chair for 3 hours. I think if you can rip in and rip out within 45 minutes, that's a good event where you're going to get good information jammed in fast. You know what I mean? Like, I think sitting around for like, but then again, once the events, the speakers are finished, people can, you know, grab any of the speakers and talk about the topic that suits them. Now, someone like yourself, very hard to get hold of in terms of sitting opposite, having a good old fashioned chat. No, no strings attached. Often I want to talk to an agent, a broker, even more so an accountant, and get free information. And this is just the perfect time to do it. And the information that we're giving out is a good way to stoke people to go, actually, I haven't thought of that. I've only got 100 grand in my super, but I never thought I could do something with that, or you know, whatever that may be, that comes out of that night.
I love question time post presentation because it's when you can, you know, corner one of the speakers or the specialist and hit them with your own scenario specific and get their unbiased, unwavered advice. And I think that's what there'll be an opportunity for across investment structures. You know, the difference between negative and positive gearing, and looking at what to do in your SMSF, as you said, with as little as potentially $100,000.
It's great. And you guys are seeing a lot of volume. Being a broker, you're seeing what people are doing. Being an accountant, with Emanuel coming out, he's seeing what everyone's doing. And being real estate agents, we're seeing what everyone's doing. You know, the only thing that's on the night that's bad is when someone asks a stupid question. But if we're going to have a head slapper coming, a person that'll slap people if they ask bad questions on the night. But there's no. All serious. There's no such thing as a bad question. And I often think people sit there thinking, "Oh my God, I don't want to ask this question," but everyone knows the answer. Quite the opposite. So on these nights, it's a chance to put your hand up, ask great questions, and everyone learns from those questions. Or at the end, you can individually talk to anyone.
Yeah,
I think that sounds like a new.
There's hundreds of case studies that they can draw on. So your own research is going to be so much more valuable just talking across someone who's helped hundreds of people in that financial year or over their career.
Yeah, I think so. And I think there's a perfect storm for investors at the moment with what you can read about in the data, with vacancy rates being at all-time lows, price growth continuing, rents are increasing, and not because of mortgage rates being passed on, but because of the shortage in supply.
And interest rates coming down.
Quite possibly. Yeah, exactly. We're at the top.
That's the talk. That's the talk. Now, before we let you go, I like asking you juicy questions. I'm always in the financial mortgage broker markets. There's always top questions in people's heads, i.e., when are these bloody rates going to come down?
Let me get my crystal ball out. Hold on. When are the rates coming down? It's the talk of the town. I think the quarterly data is very, very important for the RBA. And when they have that, between now and when they have that, they've only got one more meeting. So if they can hold on and have a look at 3 months worth of data to make more concerted decision on if they're going to inflict more pain on mortgage holders, I think that's going to be the holding point. So come August, it might be a good telltale sign what they're going to do. But obviously, we saw inflation creep up again because of services and rents and stuff like that. But still, year on year, it's halved. It's in the right direction.
As a mortgage broker, what concerns you at the moment?
I think it's the rents and the fact that investment property rates are higher. If we've seen a portion of rents go up because of mortgage rates going up, and then the bulk of it has happened because of the supply, I think at least bringing some rates down to then be passed on by the banks may alleviate some pressure on the broader economy.
What's a normal rate at the moment, Zach?
Oh, that's a good question.
Great question, Billy. For a 2-year fixed or 3-year fixed, we can get them under 6%. The most common, that's for an owner occupied. For the most common variable rate, say under 80%, the lowest we got is about 6.14. And then you've got investment rates hovering around that 6.29. That'd be a major bank entry point for a variable investment rate. So you can see there's 15 basis points difference in the interest rate between an investment property and an owner-occupied property, and that could be as much as $15,000 interest on $1 million mortgage per year that an investor has to pay, or at least get out of their rental return to keep that investment.
Yeah, it's a huge amount. 15 grand.
Hey, Zach, which loan comes across your table where you go, this sucks? Which is it like a profile of an industry, or is it a LVR position, or when do you see a loan and you go, fuck, can't I just pretend this email never came in?
I don't think it's a loan per se. I think it's more of a person that, if they've got bad credit, if they've proven that if they've missed repayments. So yeah, maybe if it's a refinance and it's a loan where there's a recent missed repayment, which I don't really see a lot of, but they're always the ones where, you still have to go to the lender and prove creditworthiness. And it's a very hard task when, someone who's asking for a mortgage to be refinanced has missed a mortgage repayment. It's not the end of the world, because sometimes there is a more recent scenario where a client who was manually topping up the account he was paying his mortgage out of, he was 1 day late with topping up his direct debit account, and therefore the mortgage payment came out, it got reversed, there wasn't enough money, he got charged with dishonor. And what the advice I gave him was, well, you need to automate that top up or put it out of your offset. And then that's a potential mitigant for any incoming lender to say, here was the scenario before, here's what we've done to fix it, and here's how it's not going to happen again. So it's never really something that's, you you shake your head and you can't do. We can sort of found a way around most of it, but yeah, it's when someone doesn't have that character in them of making regular repayments and they might have missed one. It's probably a bit more of a harder task.
When does the loan come across your table where you're like, woo, yeah?
Someone
What does
who's
that look
got
like?
juicy deposit, pay as you go. They've got pay slips, good employment, no bad credit, and they're ready to purchase.
What's a juicy deposit?
Percentage.
400 grand, 20%.
20.
And PAYG is an employee, not self-employed, yeah?
Exactly. So it's a quick reference check with their employment scenario, their pay slips, savings, and then they're ready to go.
Just slips through nicely.
And
That's
how
right.
quick? How quick are your turnaround times?
24 to 48 hours, we can provide an income assessment and then get them in line.
Wow.
And one more question from me before you go. Favorite bank this week?
Well, probably ING.
Yeah, okay. Why is that?
I think just the end-to-end process at the moment is very good. They're very fast through their approval and assessment, and then coming into settlement. They get their valuers out there quickly. They get their documentation, the loan documentation's out quick. They've had a couple from me this week, and they've really delivered.
What's the people's choice? Do people, before they know what they're getting themselves into, say, I want Commonwealth or I want ING, before they know anything about them?
Well, that's my job, to educate them about the lender and what the product features are, and make sure that they align with what they're trying to do. So, I mean, some banks charge settlement fees, loan doc fees, application fees, and ongoing fees. There are package fees for offsets and stuff like that. So if someone's looking for a low-cost product, a no-frills product, then that's going to take them to a lender that they might not have understood before. But when it aligns with what they're trying to do, then it makes sense for them to do it.
So they come to you and say, I want to use this bank. You go, no. You must use Ing Bank.
Ing Bank. Look, there's always a recommendation that's within a couple of options. I give all my clients 2 to 3 options to consider. We talk about it, and then I give them, what my recommendation is. At the end of the day, it's still their choice.
How do they have that predisposition of that's who I want to use? Is that from like previous experience of their own, or they hear stuff from friends that that's a good bank?
All of the above, I think. And they might have existing banking, existing lending, savings accounts, business accounts, whatever they do. It could have been their bank since they were kids. So yeah, I think they do have that predisposition based on what they're doing. I mean, I don't think there would be anyone without a bank account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa's got a good comment here. Lots of investor nights. This one's different. We have money. You can't buy these experts really available on the night, and you get to meet them.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lisa.
Do you know what? I want everyone to come. The date, Billy's just chucked up the date. It's the Smart Investor Night. I like Lisa used the word the other day, the easy investor night. Whatever's going on in your head will help you with it when it comes to property, buying, lending, accounting. On the night, come along.
Mark, what's maybe a juicy question for you? What's happening on the beaches? And Billy, I know you track the volume of stock on the beaches and give us a good insight into where the market's at. What's happening, guys?
Billy?
I'll go first. Stock levels, yeah, they are down. They're probably at the lowest they've been since Christmas. So they've never really hit their peak, which they were last year. The peak last year was about 800 properties. We're now sitting about 620. So it never really got back to where it left off. And Christmas was the bottom of that.
Do you think that's a bit of a delayed season that's going to double up this year? What's the forecast?
People are talking about, the rental market again, moving into a winter period now. I don't think the season, the weather makes a huge difference. However, that low stock certainly is underpinning competition and supporting prices.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yep, that's my two take.
Mark, what do you think about the whole spring selling season that was missed apparently last year? Do you think that's going to happen to a higher degree this spring that comes around after winter?
Nah.
No.
What happened to the mortgage cliff?
Exactly.
It's coming. It didn't come. Oh no, it's coming. Oh no, it didn't come again. We keep getting this mortgage cliff from fixed rates. People are saying these fixed rates are going to expire and we're in trouble. I don't know. I just think just settle in, guys, and get ready from nice slow growth over a long period of time in the property market.
If it bleeds, it reads. I think I've heard you say a few times, and I think there's other media channels that love that. But I think the mortgage cliff ended up being a bit of a rolling hill. People were able to sustain the hike in rates.
Well said. Yeah.
I think it still will be interesting at the end of the year, and that's probably another thing to consider, which I guess is being monitored to some extent, is household savings balances, which have buffered the increase in mortgage repayments. They might be coming to a point of zeroing out towards the end of this year, in terms of people who expired a year ago have been making these inflated repayments on their mortgage, and they've been buffering that with their savings. That's probably a select few or a select proportion of the mortgage holders that rolled off, because there were people that could not afford to refinance to a lower rate than what they were offered, and therefore had to cop the extra repayment, the inflated repayment and rate with their existing lender. So I think, the back half of this year might see the belt tightened a little bit, so to speak, from a proportion of the housing population.
Bring it on. What's Lisa saying?
Restaurants will be empty. Open homes will be full. Tightening the belt.
Restaurants sadly are empty and open houses are full. Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm finding that you're walking past a lot of restaurants that have typically been busy and they're not. It's like, I think people definitely have tightened their belt in the year, Zach?
I think people have been a bit more conscious of their priorities.
Well, there you go. There's the investor note.
All right, beautiful people.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Zach, for coming on for the show. Guys, the Investor Night, just message us right here, right now, and we'll flick you the details of the Investor Night, your invitation. Seats are limited. I think there's only about about 24 seats remaining. So book it in. It's free. I guarantee you won't regret it.
We'll leave the
Love
date
to hear it.
on the rollout.
Zach, thank you for your time today.
Thanks, gents. See you on the 12th.
Thanks, Billy, for your time. Thanks, guys. See you. Bye.